Welcome to Unleashing Happiness, the podcast where I teach you how to change your mindset, change your habits, and actually change your life. Happy Monday and welcome back to Unleashing Happiness. This is our 9th episode of the bonus series. If you're just joining us, I definitely recommend that you go back and listen to the full series, but I am happy that you are here and you will definitely still get benefit just from listening to today. The topic for today is actually something that I feel made the biggest shift in my life. When I first started this whole process of trying to learn different techniques, learning from spiritual leaders and looking at scientific studies to figure out ways to feel better, have more fulfillment in life, just overall have a better sense of well-being, care about myself more, put more attention into myself, and live a life that I truly loved, I found myself in a cycle of attempting to look ahead at a future moment to make changes. But yet in the present moment, I was still stuck in not feeling great. Overall, my life was pretty good. I had a wonderful family. I was very fulfilled as a mother, but there was other areas of life that I did not feel were going the way that I wanted them to go. I wanted to have more in those areas of life while still focusing on the areas of life that I felt was going really well. And what I kept doing was looking for this future event to happen so that I could feel better now. And that was backwards. Actually, that was more than backwards. It was in direct opposition of what I was actually trying to do. And figuring out this shift to loving myself right now, putting focus and care into how I feel in my present moment was one of the biggest shifts that I could make on this journey. And it seems a little backwards, and it can even be something that you don't notice that you're doing at first. I didn't. I wanted to have fulfillment and to feel good, but I was expecting an external event in the future to happen so that I could feel that way. It was like I was putting a condition on me being able to feel better and to feel fulfilled and loved and desired, and these things that I was really seeking. I placed an external need on feeling that way. So I wanted something to happen to make me feel that way. But that something for me was always in the future. It was not happening now, which meant that I was always seeking and searching for this feeling to come to make me feel better, at least in these certain areas of life. So it can be your career, your love life. Honestly, for you, it could be your family, any piece of life, your own personal health that you want to feel better. The key is learning how to make that feeling for yourself now and to start internally. And a lot of that comes down to the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you take care of yourself, the way that you view yourself, the love that you truly have for yourself. So when a lot of folks are telling you that the key is self-love and self-concept, this is actually what they mean. At least this is my understanding of what they mean. They may just not be explaining it in a way that helps you understand that if you are continuing to seek it for a future event and you're continuing to do things so that you can feel this way in the future, and you need this external thing to happen to feel it in the future, that's the cycle that we want to get out of. That's the cycle that's going to continue to keep you a bit trapped, and you're not going to feel really good about the way things are going. You're not going to feel good about the person that you are because you've assigned an external condition to you being allowed to feel that way. You've assigned an external condition to you being allowed to love yourself and to take care of yourself. And that part needs to come first. even on the days that it's difficult, or the days that you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or you're a little bit late and you're kind of frazzled and you're not focusing on maybe some sort of morning routine. The key, though, is to have such a high regard for yourself as a human being, to love yourself enough that even on those days, it does not shake the care that you give to you internally. So maybe that is a night that you come home late and you don't wash your face before bed. While that may be a form of self-care and of self-love, taking care of your skin and washing your face because it's something that you want to do in your night routine, internally, that does not mean then that you start beating yourself up. And if you're seeking external love into your life, this is the key place to start, is how that you feel about yourself. Because the higher your self-worth, the less that you're actually likely to allow other folks to treat you in ways that is not in alignment with the way that you feel about yourself, right? When you feel like you maybe are not as deserving, you're a bit down in the dumps, you're not having the life that you want, you're more likely to not have these healthy boundaries in life with the relationships that you have for the way that you want to be treated. You're a little bit more likely to tolerate things that would not be tolerable to you had you really cared about yourself enough and had a high enough self-worth to say, no, I deserve better than this. And it's not even a conscious thought at that point. It almost becomes unconscious. Have you ever seen one of these women that you look at them and you're like, they walk with this remarkable confidence. They look absolutely stunning. And yet if they go out on a date with a man and he were to text them later and say, I just didn't feel the chemistry, it wasn't there for me, they're just like, okay, thank you for letting me know. And they move on with their lives. Whereas there are also many women who are in a cycle of, if they got that text, well, then at this point, they need that man to validate them, even if at first they really didn't find much chemistry with him either. And if you're finding yourself in this kind of situation and you're seeking love in your life, and this is the cycle that you continue to go into, one, don't beat yourself up. That's not what we're here for. That is not what we're going over at all. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, that is where I am now, and I really want to improve the way that I see myself. And again, the world is a mirror. So the more that you take care of yourself, the more it's reflected right back to you. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the ways to increase your self-worth, to work on your concept of yourself so that you hold yourself in a very high regard. And you have not only an expectation, but a knowing that you are going to be treated a remarkable way, because internally you know that you are a remarkable and deserving and very worthy person. And I'm telling you, this shift for me was the greatest change that I have made. And when I fall off of this and I allow behaviors to come into my life, or people to come into my life that treat me in a way that is not in alignment with the way that I see myself or the way that I want to see myself, I can feel the difference. I can definitely see myself fall off. I can see myself struggling, and I can see that reflected back to me. And what's interesting is that I am very empathetic to others. So if you are somebody who's either finding yourself that you're a people pleaser or you're extremely empathetic to others, that does not mean that you cannot have boundaries in life. That does not mean that you cannot understand maybe why somebody is behaving this way and understand where these reactions may be coming from with them, especially if they have their own past trauma in life, but still say, I understand that, but this is not an okay way to treat me, and this is not a way that I'm going to continue to be treated. There is still a balance of having your own boundaries. And that's not to say, let's say that you have been married for 20 years and your husband is definitely in a bit of a funk, and you know that he's in a bit of a funk. There's a balance between he's not being able to provide me the full emotional support that he would in a normal occurrence because of this funk, versus he is being emotionally abusive towards me and is treating me terribly, that is not what you need to accept, even from someone that you have loved for a very long time. That's when the tools of communication come in to going to this relationship partner that you've had for a very long time and saying, I'm feeling this way about this situation, and this is what I need. And I'll get more into communication tactics in other episodes. If you need a bit more step-by-step guides through kind of all of these processes, not only how to get started, the self-love care, creating new habits that support this new life that you want, establishing healthy boundaries, and having good communication with those that are in your life, I do have a course that is launching next Monday on November 6th. I'm super excited about it, and it is truly designed to show you exactly how to transform your life. I've sent this out to others in kind of a very similar process, although not everything that I have in this course. And the response that I got from the people who actually did the course and actually followed the guidelines was outstanding, to the point that I got feedback that there was a gentleman who was struggling to even find reason to get out of bed. He was definitely having some struggles with kind of having the motivation in life to do the things that he truly enjoyed. And by following this program that I have coming out, he has established healthy routines for himself and was able to find the reasons to start getting up and doing things that he loved. So that was the most phenomenal feedback I have ever received on anything that I have done in life. And doing that for one person was absolutely amazing. And I would love to see others be able to have the same transformation in their life. So I will put a link to that down below. If you have any questions about it, please shoot me an email, unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. One of the key ways to starting to take care of yourself is learning that it is important and necessary for you to take care of yourself. So you cannot continue to give when you don't give to yourself first. So by taking care of yourself, you are truly able to provide more to the relationships that are close to you in life. The more that you take care of yourself, the better parent you'll find yourself. You'll find yourself being a better friend and a better spouse and a better coworker, because you'll then have the energy and the desire and the motivation to do well. And it's really amazing that the more you put focus into yourself and caring for yourself, and it's not selfish in any kind of negative type of way, the more you're able to give out to those that are around you, but not in a way that you even notice that that's what you're able to do. It's a very small shift where suddenly you're like, wow, I just feel better overall as a human because I'm taking care of myself. And the quickest and easiest way that I have found to do this is by doing a daily list of joys. So if you take out a piece of paper and you write out things that you enjoy, think about things that you enjoyed when you were younger that you no longer do, like playing the guitar, or even back to childhood. If you really used to like going to play kickball or dodgeball or swing on the swing set, list out those things. If as an adult you really love going and taking a bubble bath, list out that. If you greatly enjoy watching the sunrise, make sure that you include that. And a lot of this starts by asking yourself these 4 core questions. The first is, if you knew absolutely that you only had a year to live, what would you start doing? So you find out that without a doubt you have 1 year left to live. What are the things that first pop into your mind that you would start doing? If you knew you only had 1 year left to live, what would you stop doing? What are things that you're doing every day now that if you knew your time was limited and it had a finite amount on it, what would you stop doing? The third one is, why have you not started now? Like, what's holding you back? And why are you continuing to do these things that you wouldn't do if you knew that you didn't have much life left? This kind of goes back to what I was talking about before, We're not seeking a future event to be able to start living and enjoying our life now. The point is not to work yourself to the bone until you hit retirement age and then enjoy life and then go see the world. The point is not to seek the outside validation of another person loving you before you allow yourself to feel loved. Because here's also a kicker, which I'm sure that you've probably found yourself in time and time again, is that you can find the relationship, you can find the person, but it still does not fulfill what it is that you're looking for because you haven't been able to give it to yourself internally first. So there's always going to be kind of this issue that keeps coming up. You continue to be in the same cycle, and you may see those same cycles play out in relationship after relationship, either with the attachment style that you have, the way that you behave, the jealousy issues that maybe you have or don't have, communication is lacking, etc. And the reason is because you have not worked on yourself first. You have not made yourself the type of person that can have a healthy and loving relationship and will love themselves whether that person is here or not. The point is also not to wait until you weigh a certain amount on the scale before you can do things that you enjoy. If you enjoy going swimming, who cares what the number on the scale says? Don't let that limit you from you enjoying your life because you're constantly seeking a number on a scale before you can go do things that you really love doing. And that's where the daily list of joys comes in. You write out these things that you truly love doing, that provide you joy. And the more that you focus on these, the more you'll find that there's joy in very small items each day. I love coffee. So me having my first cup of coffee in the morning is a daily joy for me. I feel like the first cup is always the best. No matter how much I try to make it later, that first cup in the morning is my best cup of coffee. And I greatly enjoy it. It's something that I love. I really like watching the sunrise. I really enjoy going out for walks. If it's snowing outside, I like to step outside and feel the cold and see the snow. It's definitely been a little bit colder here in Colorado, so the snow is on my mind. But these are small things that I enjoy doing, and I made a choice to put them into my day. I read the book, The 955 Code by Richard Dotz, and reading that book is really what triggered this habit for me. He talks in there about how you spend about 5% of your day, which is very generous even, on the techniques for this life that you love. So maybe the meditation or the visualizing or the affirmations or whatever it is that you've chosen to do to work towards these goals that you have in life, to have a life that you love. But one of the biggest keys in this is then actually how you spend the 95% of your time. What are you doing with your focus? What are you actually persisting in when you are working towards these goals? Is your focus and your persistency in something that you don't actually want? Because the more that you pay attention to it, the more life that you give it, the more that's what you're going to continue to receive. And so the key is learning how to enjoy life in these other moments. Really changing your life comes down to 3 steps, and there can be a lot within that, especially depending on what you need to unpack. But it's deciding what it is that you want, changing your daily habits in alignment with that desired outcome, and that includes your mental, emotional, and physical habits. And then the third is actually enjoying your life right now. That's what it means to become present, is to be in this moment that you're living right now, which is truly the only moment that you ever have. The future is a state that you're considering may happen, and the past is one that you are reliving that has already happened. So this very moment is all that you have. And the way that you feel right now is going to affect any future moments that you have. Those future present moments are all affected by how you feel right now in this present moment. So learning how to Tune into how you're feeling now is a huge key. And that comes down to the fourth question of these core questions. And that is, how do I want to feel when I go to bed tonight? Asking yourself this repeatedly will be mind-blowing. If you ask yourself, how do I want to feel when I go to bed at night? And you consider that you want to feel loved, or you want to feel successful, or you want to feel relaxed, or you want to feel wealthy, whatever that feeling is what you're doing right now in this moment aligned with how you want to feel when you go to bed? This is why getting very curious and being very honest with yourself is a key component to making these sustainable changes. The more that you can make it a habit to ask yourself, how do I want to feel when I go to bed? Is it in alignment with things that I would start or stop doing had I known that my life had a limit on it? Had I known that I only had 1 year left to live, what are those things that I would want to be doing? And what are things that I wouldn't want to be wasting my precious time on? And your time is precious now, whether you know that your life is going to end or not. This right now is what you have. This right now is where your focus should be. And how do you feel right now? Is what you're doing in this moment while you're listening to my words in alignment with the person that you want to be? Are you persisting and focusing on the person that you want to be? Do your daily routines and habits align to this person? And the more that you focus on this, the more that you start to see your own self-worth. Who would spend the rest of their life knowing they had 1 year left to live, putting themselves down for how they look in a pair of shorts? Who would spend the last year that they had left to live seeking the love of a very specific person that you feel you have to have in your life right now in order to be happy? Those are not the things that you should be focused on. Instead, learn how to focus on yourself. And what's amazing is that the more that you do this, the more that these other things come. The weight starts to fall off. You start to feel better and healthier and stronger. And this love from people that you're seeking ends up flowing into your life. It's quite remarkable. And it is a little bit of a trust me, bro kind of process because you won't really see it. You can read about a bunch of other people doing it, but you won't really see it in your own life until you just put some trust in the process and say, you know what, for 30 days, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I'm truly going to put this focus in for 30 days and do what Cecilia says and just try it and see what happens. Because at this point, you've probably lived much more than 30 days in a cycle that you don't want to be in anymore. So why not give 30 days to see if it'll work? So get out a piece of paper. If you're driving, wait until you get somewhere, but get out a piece of paper and start to write out things that you really enjoy. Then make a conscious choice that for today and every day moving forward for this next 30 days, you're going to choose a couple things from that list to do for yourself each day. And it can be anywhere from one thing. If you need to start with one, there's nothing wrong with that. And that one can even be as small as brushing your teeth because you enjoy the way that your mouth feels when it's clean. Totally a joy. Absolutely. We're just going to learn to focus on these small wins. So if you take this list and you're going to pick 1 to about 5 things is usually what I start with, but by all means, you can do as many as you want. And you're going to add those to your day. Without fail, this is something you're going to do for yourself. And when you do that thing, say to yourself, I am doing this for me. I am doing this to give myself love and joy today. That's it. You just say it in your head, say it to yourself. While you're doing that activity, focus on the senses that you can feel. So what you can feel, what you can hear, what you can taste, what you can smell, and what you can see. So you can either do a countdown where you start with like 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. You can mix those up any way you can or any way you want to. or just look at one thing I can hear, one thing I can feel, one thing I can taste, etc. And you go through the list to make yourself be present on this moment. And also pay attention to, how do I feel internally? At first, you may feel awkward. I know I did. I felt a little weird, like kind of talking to myself about this, focusing on the things that I was focusing on. But in time, being able to relax into that feeling that I am doing this for me, I'm paying attention to this for me, became a very calming, relaxing type of feeling. And it was wonderful. In time, we'll start to add more into your day. That is to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You definitely also want to start paying attention to the way that you're talking about yourself. So if you catch yourself putting yourself down, giving yourself negative self-talk, we definitely want to start catching those moments and becoming curious about them. This is not about beating ourselves up. It's not about putting ourselves down or even really being frustrated for where we are now. It's recognizing that if you're doing that, it's just because of a habit you've created. So there's a cue now for you. You fall into a habit routine, and that is all that's happening, even when you're talking negative to yourself. And if you created that habit loop, you can create a new one where instead you speak kindly to yourself. I like to spend time each morning being kind to myself. So I struggled in the past with kind of wanting a perfect figure and body. And I was very, very hard on myself about my figure and my body. So in the mornings when I'm getting ready, a lot of times completely in the nude, I say nice things about my body now, things that I like about the curves that I have, that I enjoy about the way that my body looks. And this has been outstanding for me because I'm able to recognize now the parts that I love more than focusing on my faults. And it felt very awkward at first, especially because, like I said, I was usually in the nude, and that felt really uncomfortable and awkward for me. Another great activity is to spend some time each night, about 1 to 3 minutes, writing down things you appreciated about yourself that day. So it can be anything, that you made a funny joke at work, that you got through your to-do list, that you did your daily joy. And all that you're going to do is just jot it out, things that you really appreciated about yourself. And these things feel a little corny at first, especially if you're not used to it or it's something that you haven't done in many years. And especially if you grew up in a household where it was more likely that you were going to be told what you were doing wrong than what you were doing right, this is going to be uncomfortable. But the greatest things happen on the other side of our comfort level. So continue to keep pushing, continue to keep working on yourself, because you truly will find that your entire world starts to shift in a most amazing way the more that you focus on this. So it's about bringing all of it together so that it becomes a natural identity for you to focus on the goals that you have, setting up the processes to obtain those goals, and making sure that part of that is that you're enjoying the life that you have right now. So I hope that you found today beneficial. If you did and you would like to share this episode out with a friend or your network, that is absolutely amazing. It is the highest of high compliments if you feel like you want to share this out with others. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and send a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can shoot me an email, unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. I hope you have a remarkably beautiful week. Thank you again for joining me today. If you'd like to learn more about all things going on with me, go ahead and visit my website at ceciliahendricks.com.